Three, two, one, action.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 22nd, and this is the Hendrick Hudson School District Board of Education meeting. I'm going to ask everyone to start by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so tonight we're going to start by approving our agenda. Do I have anything? I wait, you wait until the second. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion to approve agenda for the second. All in favor? Okay, we start with the art department and overview of our wonderful art show that we are sitting in the middle of right now. So I'd like to invite the art department. Mrs. Dean Lee, Mrs. Krause.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here tonight. Okay. I'm excited to kick off this board meeting with an important topic that truly shapes the future of our students, our education. As we know, education today is more than just about academics. It's about preparing our students for the challenges they face in the 21st century. Here at Hendrick Hudson High School, well, school district, sorry, art plays a critical role in this by helping our students develop essential skills. Creativity, critical thinking, communication, these are all skills that are invaluable in every career and every aspect of life. Through art, our students don't just learn to create, they learn to analyze, interpret, and express their ideas. These are the building blocks of success in a wide range of fields. And it's not just about the artistic talent. Our education gives students the tools to succeed in a complex, ever-changing world. Through teaching art, we're giving our students the ability to navigate and thrive in the future. I'm also thrilled to announce that the high school art department is launching a new graduation pathway. The individual arts assessment pathway. Thank you, Ms. Fallon, for helping us with that. This pathway allows students to work directly with an art teacher to develop a personalized portfolio. Not only does this showcase their creativity, but it also is a valuable asset in their future endeavors. Whether that's pursuing a career in the arts or just applying to colleges. Beyond just artistic growth, this pathway will also help students explore how the arts are connected to career opportunities in this rapidly changing world. So thank you again for all of your support for our art teachers and for our students. And now I want to introduce Mrs. Krause. She is one of the art teachers at the middle school, and she's going to tell us about the amazing work happening at the middle school. So thank you.
So, starting in the 23-24 school year, the middle school visual arts program evolved into the art and design program. This program combines traditional fine art, Project Lead the Way, computer science, animation, graphic design, and both digital and traditional 3D design. Students learn through hands-on project-based assignments that focus both on the application of skills developed in class as well as soft skills needed in the workforce. During this school year, the program has continued to grow. Students are building on the knowledge and skills acquired in the previous school year, in which we piloted some of the new curriculum we designed. Students are now coding apps within the Project Lead the Way program, designing video games, designing and testing miniature catapults, musical instruments, and stand amplifiers for their mobile devices using 3D printers, in addition to honing their traditional skills in drawing, painting, and sculpting with ceramic clay. This course is co-taught with by myself and Mr. Paul Gioacchini. Through some creative scheduling and planning, and the support of Ms. Collins, who happens to be sitting right here, who helped us set this up. We are able to combine our classes in different design teams, simulating real-world workplace environments through cooperative assignments, teaching students to work collaboratively as part of a team and communicate effectively and efficiently with others. These types of skills are vital in any field and will help prepare our students to enter high school and beyond. We want to thank the board and our administration for their continued support in the art and design program at the middle school and the K-12 visual arts program district-wide.
You guys.
Thank you, everyone.
So I just wanna say thank you for, this is one of my favorite annual things. It's been one of my favorite annual things here for a very long time, since I think my son started kindergarten in 2010. I think it's a wonderful tradition. The work is amazing, and I know what it takes to put this together and collab. And I myself, I was a fine arts major in college, so I have and I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I really understand this, and I have a passion for it, but I love every year looking at the work and seeing the work, and I know what it takes to pick and choose and bring it and put it up here. So thank you very much for doing that and sharing it with the community. So, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on to our board candidate lottery drawing for placement on the May 20th, 2024 ballot.
Can I ask Morgan, want to come up and help me for a minute?
So it's not your fault.
Okay, so this year it had worked out. We all know that Monday was the deadline for our board candidates petitions. So we have 5 candidates. And the way it works is that the order they come in is the order we pick, and then it's all mixed in here, 1 through 5, okay? And it's the luck of the draw of what they get picked on the ballot. So it'll be the placement of where it will be on our ballot on May 20th. So Logan, good.
Who's the first? Yeah.
Oh, the first one, sorry, the first one is Jeremy Basso. So go ahead. Number 4. Second one is Erica Mills. Number 5. Third one is Ryan Areco. He is here tonight.
Number 2.
Next one is Alexis Bernard. Number 1. And she's here this evening. And last is Allison Huben. Am I pronouncing that?
Huben.
Okay,
Number 3.
Okay, congratulations, everybody.
Thank you. That worked out great to be done tonight. So thank you for organizing that, Carmen. Thank you for being here and joining us. Okay, our next is audience comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up tonight, Carmen? We do not. That moves us to our consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull fiscal 6.4-1, the resolution for the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Assessment.
Okay. What's, does anyone else?
Yes, I want to call then 6.41 budget transfer.
So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda without fiscal 6.4 budget transfer and without 6.4 Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment terms and conditions?
No motion.
With a second, all in favor? And so we also have a donation. Before I move on to that, we just have a donation that I'd like to recognize from the consent agenda, which is a $2,000 Manhattanville College donation for the Hendrick Hudson High School Water Quality Living Shorelines Grant. So I'd like to thank Manhattan College for donating this. This will go directly into our science program. So thank you so much for that donation. Do I have a motion to approve this donation?
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay. Great. Okay, so that moves us back to our pulled items. The first is we'll go with the appointment of our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. And I'd like to announce that it is Mrs. Collins.
Yeah.
Is our candidate, so I don't know, Dr. Garcia, do you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll say a few words on behalf of Michael. So just in terms of what Lauren, my short time with you. I've been here since July. And when I heard that Dr. Rowe was retiring and we had to do a search, it was something which is a challenge. I held that position, I mean, Mr. Trombley held that position in the past, but what was important is that there was a thorough and fair process, and it was exhaustive. And just a little bit about that process. We first posted on November 1st, 2024. We had a series of focus groups. We had virtual focus groups. We had surveys of teachers, administrators, parents, and community members. Based on their feedback, we were able to create a leadership profile of what are the qualities of the next superintendent for curriculum. That helped guide us in terms of the questions. It helped guide us in terms of the candidates that were selected. We had 105 applicants for this position. The cabinet screened 28 candidates personally over 2 days. 9 of those candidates then were selected by Mr. Trombley to be interviewed by a stakeholder committee. As you remember, in this room, stakeholder committee of 16 people comprised of teachers, administrators, students, and community members. They asked you numerous questions. They did all the candidates. Based on the feedback they were given, Mr. Trombley then selected 4 candidates who met as semi-finalists with the cabinet again. And again, there were a series of questions, and we did that right next door, as you remember. From that, Mr. Trombley then shared with the board the 3 names of finalists, met with the board for an interview on April 9th. And I know that Mr. Trombley was very deliberative in his approach. And I know that I think at times it was very difficult, right? There were 3 excellent candidates. It was his sole decision. Remember, he told me this on I think, Friday morning, his decision. And then we met with you. So I have to say that I've been in this position as an assistant superintendent for 11 years, right? I held the curriculum and personnel title for 9 years in Pella. You have all the qualities to be a successful assistant superintendent. I think you've demonstrated that before I even met you as a 2nd grade teacher, right? A middle school teacher, math and science. You demonstrated that as assistant principal in the middle school. You demonstrated that as the middle school principal in this district. And then the past few years as the high school principal in this district. So I just want to say on behalf of, I think, Mr. Trombley, and I think the entire cabinet, we welcome you. We appreciate you. We congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for being here. And congratulations on your.
Say something really quick. I just wanted to thank everyone so much for allowing me to be a part of this process. When I joined HHCSD 3 years ago, I joined after meeting Dr. Ruller and felt like it was a family that I wanted to be a part of. I left a family and I wanted to join a family. And over the last 3 years, I have grown to love this family and I look forward to leading the family and being a part of everything HHCSD. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we need to vote on this.
I'm going to make a statement first.
Okay.
As a board member, I want to express my deep commitment to the well-being of our students, staff, and families, especially during times of transition. Our community has experienced a great deal of change in recent years, and I recognize how important it is to create the conditions for steady progress, particularly in literacy and math, where students need consistent focused support. That's why we must be especially intentional about how leadership decisions impact the overall stability of the district. With several key leadership openings across our schools, this is a pivotal time to reinforce continuity, not introduce additional uncertainty. Leadership changes in key instructional roles have far-reaching implications, and it's our responsibility to ensure those decisions align with a long-term vision for academic growth. I share this not as judgment, but as part of my ongoing effort to advocate for thoughtful, student-centered governance that keeps our district moving forward. And with that statement, I'm going to be voting no.
All right, so we need to make a motion to approve the assistant superintendent for curriculum, instruction and assessment terms, for the terms and conditions for
Motion,
Can I make them do a roll call? I think for this, is that okay?
yes, I think, yeah.
Okay. So each one of you will vote saying what your vote is. Corey,
Fancy or like
yes or no?
Okay.
Fancy.
Like yay or nay?
Yeah.
Oh,
here, here.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
No.
That's all. Go on to the next one.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Lauren.
That moves us to our budget transfer.
I pulled it just because I thought we should have an explanation for the large amount of money that was just transferred with it.
explain,
To explain the process behind it or where about that, so Jill.
Yeah, sure. So it seems like a large amount, $4 million is an amount that is of a $50 million payroll that the school district has. Normally, we do these budget transfers in incremental, normally we do these budget transfers in incremental steps, so you would see them every single month. Being new to the district, I had our accountant in the district hold off on making those transfers until I was able to do like a complete line by line analysis of our payroll for the year. So as a result of that, all of them were pushed together in one budget transfer made now at the end of the year, which is totaling the $4 million. And just keep in mind, there will always be budget transfers. There's going to be more budget transfers before the end of the school year. One particular area that we will be short in as far as payroll goes, where money will be transferred from one area to another is in substitutes. We've had an enormous amount of substitutes that we've had to employ because of excessive absenteeism. It's a problem in every district. Another thing is last year, the school district also restructured its elementary schools. So people were moved from one building to another, but when the budget was built, they were built into certain buildings that they were in at the time, and they, those things happen later. So we need to transfer funds to the proper location. So all of this, it kind of increased the amount of budget transfers that we needed to make. But it's a normal process. It's operational in every school district across New York State.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
So just to be clear, the 4.5 million is for this current year. Right, so I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that, because I wanted to point that out as well. The current year's budget is not changing by any dollar amount. The amount is constant. It's still the same budget. It's just being reclassified from one code to another. And the budget for next year is not being, revamped to include additional payroll or anything like that. It's not coming from fund balance. It's just reclassifying current funds.
It's not included either.
No.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Jill. Does anyone have any other questions about that? Okay,
Motion to accept the budget transfer.
Second.
all in favor? Okay, that brings us back to the agenda. We are up to the hearing of the public on agenda items. Okay, and that's this, now it's the superintendent's report. So for this evening, very brief, I'm gonna be reading a statement from the school board. As some of you may already know, Superintendent Michael Trombley has requested and been granted a medical leave of absence. He anticipates returning in late May. While we cannot speak to the details of his medical condition, I can share that Superintendent Trombley remains deeply committed to the Hendrick Hudson Central School District. He will continue to be in daily contact with me as the board's representative, as well as with his staff. He will stay informed and engage with appropriate input into the district's ongoing work during this time. During his leave, Dr. Margaret Ruller will serve as acting superintendent of schools. Dr. Ruller is an experienced and respected leader who has previously served in this role, and we are confident she will continue to move the district forward with strength and care. We appreciate your continued support and understanding. I know that you join us in wishing Superintendent Trombley the very best during this time. So that's the statement. I want to thank Dr. Ruller for stepping in.
It's my pleasure to
support
be
us.
on.
Thank you. So that's really all we had prepared for the superintendent's report today. We have a presentation now on our capital improvement, the project update from KSQ. We're joined by KSQ architect and Anthony Merlini.
See, so I'm joined by John Evans, is a senior associate and our director of design nationally at KSQ Design. Robert Bernice is a director at Triton Construction Management, and Anthony, you are excited and honored to be here among the special celebration of art at the Hendrick Hudson School District. It's a really special thing. We have a substantial program to present this evening. There's 3 chapters. So in a moment, Bob will give a brief update on the activities that are happening this summer and connected to phase 1 construction. And then the big piece is phase 2, and we have design renderings to share. We have all of the various projects at all of our schools in the district. And then Anthony will give an update on district led activities that are ongoing.
So phase one, you had in February and March, the project went out for bid. And in March, you had a Board of Ed award for 2 contracts, general construction and site work. And that's at all 5 schools. Since that award, we've had meetings with the contractors to get them up to speed on the project, get some middles in, all of the nuts and bolts of getting the project running. We're expected to start at the end of June and expected to be completed towards the end of August, beginning of the school year.
Thanks, Bob. We're trending slightly under budget for phase 1, so it's sort of steady as it goes, those projects. So phase 2, which is the more substantial of the 2 phases for the 2024 bond, it comprises $22.5 million total project cost. And it includes the really curriculum-driven assignments at all the schools. We are in April, we're intending to finish our construction documents over the summer. So those are the technical documents that we submit to the state education department. We'll have a 5 or 6 month process there. It's actually been a little bit less, so we're hoping 3 or 4 this round, and then that'll take us to the end of the 2025 calendar year, out to bid, and then start construction activities in the spring. Typically the paperwork in the early spring, and then actual boots on the ground construction as we get into June. So we're going to tick down through the projects that are included at all the schools, starting at the high school. This is a bullet list that outlines rehabilitate the basement music studios, refurbish the 3rd floor mezzanines. Those are right underneath the cupola at the front of the building. Transform the library into a modern learning commons, and then improvements to the athletic building.
So the first slide is improvements to the music studios downstairs, so that all new finishes, dealing with the water issues, and then improving the acoustics.
He's controlling that.
And this is just some interior images of ceilings and improved kind of acoustical paneling and paint, kind of refreshing base level. And then that brings us to the mezzanine spaces, the learning spaces, in the, underneath the cupola. So, again, got renovation, new finishes, new furniture, and, rethinking the way that these spaces are actually utilized. So creating breakout space, and a much more flexible learning environment. This is, the library conversion, so we're recapturing some of, some offices and conference room space, creating a more open entry, and including, some breakout spaces for small meetings or for faculty to bring classes, into that space.
If I could just mention, so a decision that we made with Anthony is that you come in on a ramp right now. And you don't come into a space, if you think about it. And so really the big idea here is to remove that ramp and make a space that welcomes you when you come into the new learning commons. And then there'll be a smaller ramp. John's gonna show pictures, the renderings up around the side.
So this is images of the interior of the space with entries to those breakout rooms. And then coming up should be, go one more. So you can see there, so kind of like a built-in banquette space where kids can have lunch, meet in small groups, study. And then the ramp is kind of integrated into the perimeter around that space. And just some more images of the interiors. We're trying to get this done in 15 minutes. For the dome, the goal was to deal with the acoustic issue, being able to use that space in clement weather for graduation, for certain meetings. So we needed to provide a ton of acoustical absorption. And so we're introducing a series of felt blades to kind of create a zone where you'll be able to understand amplified speech better. And that brings us to the middle school.
Middle school is, really the area of largest reinvestment in the school district. We had consensus with the community and from the pre-bond that it was time to really improve the Blue Mountain Middle School. So it's a pretty significant bullet list. Bathrooms, interior doors, renovating the gymnasium in the space, it's original. Creating a new visual arts suite. I will not do the justice that Logan did in describing the programs that are over there, but I would like to show you where we want to relocate and reaccommodate that program. Kitchen servery, total gut rehab, creating the new STEAM Learning Commons. So a companion to the Learning Commons that John talked about at the high school. The gymnasium, the bleachers in that space are original, they're not motorized, so they'll have new modern motorized bleachers. We do spend quite a bit of time designing the floor, so we'll sand down the wood floor, working with the athletic director and the physical education staff, getting the design, the logos. But it'll be a place of celebration for physical education. So as I mentioned earlier, right now, Logan and Paul have the art studios upstairs, as well as running downstairs to teach in the computer lab. And what we've proposed is taking back what I call the old industrial art space at the ground floor of the middle school and combining that into a large media visual arts suite. So we'll be able to offer all the instruction that was discussed earlier this evening, but have them all together with access to the exterior, as well as the computer 3D printers and so on in the same area. We're still refining this layout with Paul and Logan, but really excited to be able to put all that together. Just a footnote that the two art spaces upstairs will go back into circulation as regular instruction inventory. So right now, the kitchen servery at the middle school is 3 separate compartments. It's really hard to manage, and there's multiple like points of sale and so on. And it's also original equipment, most of it for the large part. And the idea is to the blue box in the center that says server on the left, to really gut rehab that whole zone and come back with a single integrated servery with access on either side and then egress or exiting from the center. So this is a place that will have wall graphics, will celebrate student spirit. You can see there's a beginnings of a flat panel screen TV on the way in, so we'll celebrate nutrition and good health, and just a really important project that is going to improve the ability to serve and throughput for the food service program. So John gets the hard of it.
That brings us to the learning commons. So taking over the space adjacent to the cafeteria, which is currently kind of spillover. And as well as some classroom space and office space down at the south end of the plan. And opening up that zone, moving the library functions there, creating a series of small meeting rooms and breakout spaces, as well as a designated classroom where faculty can bring their students into the library and use that classroom, or the librarian can do instruction there instead of having to leave the library, and really just trying to modernize and a slightly more mature version and of a modern library. Next slide, sorry. And so this is a view of kind of a stepped seating area that leads up to the windows into that kind of courtyard space. And then on the right, you'll see individual breakout spaces and then open seating that's kind of in amongst the book stacks. And then from inside of one of the meeting rooms. And then another view kind of turned with the meeting rooms on the right and then looking out. Oh, I'm sorry, this is at the south end, where we're taking over some classrooms to create an open library space with bringing in more natural light into the library, and kind of creating work zones that are in amongst the book stacks. And then that classroom space with flexible seating kind of pull apart into different kind of group work or individual. And then just some more views of the interiors with just new finishes, taking into account acoustics, lighting, all of that.
I want to make a footnote about our orchestra space. We actually had an aha moment today when we were at Blue Mountain, that we think we figured out a strategy to expand the orchestra room in its current location. It's a modest expansion, but the way that the room jigs and jags, we can sort of simplify it. And we think spend a lot less money than moving it across the program. And also, this was not directly funded by the bond, so we think we have a better plan to also keep the orchestra room where it's located next to the other music spaces. So we'll report back on that. All right, so moving now to our elementary schools. This is BV, of course. We want the bond calls for renovation of original toilet rooms in the building. Also, the continuum of learning offered through the STEM program. And so you'll see now these sort of old style libraries converted into STEM learning commons in each of the elementary schools. So the first one, again, at BV, reclaiming that big, long space that cuts through the building. It's actually the bones of the space are lovely. But what John has accomplished with the principal of the school and others is to create a classroom space, a library shelving area, and then a breakout room. So this is sort of we started at the high school with a very almost a collegiate level learning commons, and the middle school is a transitional space between elementary and high school, and then the seeds of these learning commons would happen here at our elementary school. So this is in the breakout space or the main area there. Okay. And then there's a stack area in the center. Our shelves are always very low, so students, we can always, an adult can see everybody in the room at the same time. The students are invited to start to take on those activities that'll lead them into the middle school and then the high school. At Frank G, renovation of original restrooms, addition of a common toilet room, and then also, we talked about the STEAM and the Learning Commons, I'll touch on that. So, this is, right almost at the center of the school. This is upstairs. There's a long rectilinear space that today is, part library, part, commons, and we want to integrate those. So again, you're seeing, library stacks, STEM area, 2 STEM areas, and then, a modular furniture breakout area. So we're really excited about this space, the opportunities for teaching, for media sharing. These are our slightly older, of our elementary school students, and, these spaces will really foster those kinds of STEM activities that are curriculum driven. We're having fun with the ceilings and some lower soffitted areas, so different activities can take place and change the scale. And again, an adult can observe the entire space at a glance and make sure nobody's in trouble. So, and this is a look back at the library itself. So one of the Vivant initiatives that's super important, now that we have our our older elementary school students in Frank G. There are really, the top wing, so there's a key plan on the left, is our old kindergarten classrooms. And there are no common toilet rooms in that wing. And what we realized is that we could take the space between the kindergarten classrooms to put in community toilet rooms or common toilet rooms. So that's what you're seeing here. I actually met with Jim, Mac and myself, and we sort of sketched out this concept plan. And I think it's really going to serve the students well to get common toilet rooms in that wing where there aren't none today.
You're just in my head, you're just bringing up, because those are bigger rooms, so you're just bringing up to the front of that, the hallway?
It's actually even better than that. So there's
I'm just trying to-
there's a full kindergarten classroom, which is huge. And then there are these like study nooks or like, also, where the coat hooks, like where you could go into a little alcove.
Yeah.
So we can keep the whole classroom, it's actually bigger than a traditional classroom, but take back that interstitial space between, or that's an architect's word. Take back that space between and reclaim it for toilet rooms.
Yeah, that's great.
And we have reading nooks behind, so on the outside wall. So then those will work with the teachers to program how they're used and that sort of thing. But this was a really thoughtful idea that doesn't require an addition to the building. Those are super expensive right now in the park. And then I think Furnace Wood is the last of our schools. So again, investments in renovating original toilet rooms in the school. Addition of a STEAM instructional studio that's similar to that I talked about the other elementary schools. And then renovation of the cafetorium, similar to the work that we did at Buchanan Verplank together a couple years ago. So this is the current library space. We've really thought through for these grade specific needs or age appropriate needs, but spaces for media sharing, commons, library, and then breakout instructional space. So I am going to ask John because we're really proud of this. So we're announcing the departmental entry, which I think is really neat for the younger children to see that, oh, this is from the corridor what they'll see to invite them into the learning camp.
And this is probably the elementary school library that was in the worst shape. It already, you could tell, was a little bit of a like a mishmash of different rooms that had been sort of just a wall taken down here and taken down there and combined. Flooring didn't match, so we were excited to kind of work with what's there, to carve out zones that feel thoughtful. And so after entering through that kind of main portal, that language sort of repeats around the central window where we're creating a seating zone and then kind of a classroom type of space where kids can sit on casual furniture and work, and there's a smart board on the wall behind. And then on the opposite end, there's just kind of more soft seating where you can sit and read, and everything's kind of built into the bookshelves. and then a view from the window seat across to the instruction space. Which brings us to the cafetorium. So there's gonna be kind of facelift, full renovation, and what's great about this cafetorium as opposed to what we had to do at the Buchanan Verplank is that we're entering at the lowest level. And so the majority of the room is already accessible, and we don't have to spend the immense resources and time that it took to demolish all of that concrete that we did at BV. So for the next slide, we are gonna just bring in new finishes, new flooring, new acoustical treatments, furniture, and then the built-in furniture that's on those tiers is gonna be replaced. And the divider that's in there is gonna be removed, and the space where that divider is stored is actually gonna be expanded to create much better flow and an actual accessible entrance in and out of the servery. And we are carefully documenting the mural that's on the wall. Because we know.
There's a board member's photo on there.
I went to elementary school, I'm like painted on there, so can you cut me out?
Just leave that one.
The whole thing is
These are on
being
each other.
scanned and we have
And my signature.
various stakeholders who are brainstorming ways to reproduce it and kind of preserve and record it. And display it somewhere. Which brings us to bathroom renovations. So across the entire district, wherever bathroom renovations are happening, it's gonna be clean, modern updates with a focus on cleanable and maintainable and replaceable. So uniform fixtures, uniform bathroom partitions, mirrors, and then just creating light, bright, clean spaces for everyone. Trying to incorporate a little bit of youthfulness, but within the same language. You can see various scales of fixture size, different ways to incorporate color.
So I'll hand it over to Anthony while we're with that. I'm going to finish. So we just submitted the design development drawings to Triton for budget purposes. We're 7.5% over budget for phase two, which is kind of where we want to be. We want to get the most value we can. So we're working on value engineering strategies, and 7.5% is within the tolerance of a plus or minus for any estimate. So we will be working through add alternates, but also through just refinement of the scope as we move forward. And some of the contingencies will go down as we finish the document. So that's sort of putting a bow on phase two for where we are today. I'm not sure if the board has questions now, or the last piece is for Anthony to talk about the energy performance
I
contract.
have two questions and a comment. So one of the questions is if we happen to go over more than the 7.5% that you have budgeted for now, do you have a plan in place for like work that would have to be maybe put aside or finding an alternative way to complete it?
Yeah, that's exactly the strategy that we're working on right now with Triton. Go ahead, Bob.
No, we're working on that with Armand and his team to see where we may have had higher numbers, and we can bring those numbers down by alternative materials. And then also alternates, like the orchestra definitely was an alternate, but we're gonna possibly eliminate that by designing it closer to where it is now. And then add some other alternates.
Just
And
give
we
one more-
have another estimate coming once Armand submits to State Education Department.
Another example, the bond, specific bond criteria for the dome was the acoustical treatments, the audio, and like coming up, with a strategy so that it can be much more easily usable for assembly without a lot of, custodial time to set it up. We also included quieting measures for the mechanical system, so duct liners and other things. those could be an alternate. They really are an add-on to the criteria of the bond. So when we talk about value engineering, it's never sacrificing program. And again, 7.5%, we're in a good place. You know, we're
Yeah.
not 30%.
So, I'm glad you brought up the dome, because I was looking at that. Aside from the structures you guys can put in the ceiling, are we doing any work for like sound system in there as well?
Yeah, Bob, I believe we had line items for audio and visual. So,
Awesome.
and then we'll produce a furniture plan so that the stackable chairs, like we know where to put them, and it's gonna be a more compelling restful space when you come in and the clusters.
Perfect. And then the last thing, just a comment on, I really love everything that you guys are presenting. Colors. Are we gonna go with more of like a white and blue to match the district colors? I mean, or are we sticking with the like soft green?
So.
Or is that
actually,
just for pictures?
Let's say.
We,
Yeah.
we have an interior designer who I have just recently, after kind of putting this presentation together and really getting to take a step back and see where we are with everything as a whole. We talked about taking another pass at developing some of the materials and it is gonna be more of a district-wide, similar materials, blues, whites, grays, tans, and light woods. And we can kind of send along a material palette ultimately, if that's something you're interested in, but yeah, we were just talking about that in the past few days.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's calm, well, I get that, but I just was like, I'm just thinking art as well. I know the restroom here in the cafeteria, I love, but I was just thinking like if. Well, Ms. Kraus, if you had decided you wanted to put some decals or anything or paint on the walls, just like some school stuff. Just so it didn't kind of clash with those.
And some districts have very specific branding where they're gonna give us the exact color that they want. And we try to create interiors around being able to use those really bold district specific colors in tasteful ways. And we've had a lot of success with that. So thus far, we don't have necessarily a specific logo, a specific blue exactly that has been incorporated. But
if you guys also have like science behind these colors that they're better for learning or that, I'm also all in on that as well. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
so I can probably speak to that too. I would like to have more color added, depends on which space it is, like the learning commons, a breakout room. Those, sometimes kids actually, younger kids actually calms them down and some
Yeah.
colors. I bring them up with others. So there's a government book, a study about.
Yeah.
I just, my thought looking at it was, are we sold on the green was my thought,
Yeah, no,
but.
long answer short, the colors and finishes are not at all final yet.
Okay.
And the green was
just
my big red flag when I was reviewing all of this.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily,
Okay. Yeah, we should, I mean, honestly, we should have, we have some guidance on our colors and our things online a little bit. We should probably be able, we can discuss, we can get you that, like the
Yeah, I feel
facilities.
like
After our documents are submitted to the state, we'd be grateful to come back and like have another
Yeah,
workshop.
But I really like the bathrooms, like I love the clean look of those. Yeah, I love it.
It's a great presentation.
And the
Everything looks
cafeteria.
amazing.
yeah,
Thank you.
I mean,
One
honestly,
of the questions I had was, I guess you guys have to submit this first and then purchase like the materials and all that stuff before it gets started. Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to be furnished with our building permit and then go out to bid and then we
Okay.
focus in on the actual product.
Gotcha, okay.
so, yeah, my question was around, just to explain the timeline of this portion of it, because I know we have phase one. That we're starting to work on, hopefully. Spring 26.
Yeah. Yeah, so the process is that we're finishing the construction documents, which is the last phase of the pre-design phases. Those documents are packaged and they go to the state education department. We're seeing they claim it's a 2-month process, but we think it's gonna be 3 or 4 months. So by the sort of late fall or early winter 25, we'll have our permit. We'll go out to bid, public bid, and then we'll open those bids either in December or January. We'll come back to the board to award and then be ready to really start construction. A lot of it's paperwork initially, so submitting shop submittals and requests for information, that sort of thing. But all that will start to happen in the early spring, and then by June will be actually shovels in the ground.
Okay, so the hope is to have this done by 2028.
Oh, sooner than that. So
27?
we would like to, I'd like to report back, but we'd like to see a majority of the projects complete by January of 27.
January. I know, I'm not holding you to it. I'm just trying to give an idea.
26,
27.
April of 26, right? April.
somewhere of 27.
I think there'll be closeout in the summer of 27. So we're gonna hit it hard in the summer of 26. These libraries, the libraries in the middle and the high school will take longer than the summer. So we'll work out with those principals, like where the temporary library will be, but by January, I would expect to turn those libraries over. And then I think there's some work that we don't want to do during the school year for safety and so on, and we'll close it out in the summer of 27.
Yeah, that is the plan.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
I have a question. I know you said you do most of the big work over the summer and stuff. How does it work when you do work during the school day with the kids in school? Do you find it's like disruptive, or it's not quite in the areas where the kids are, or do you have to close down certain areas for the kids?
Yeah, we planned that into the project. We show the contractor where he has to have separation between the construction area and occupied areas. One of those areas would be the middle school learning commons area. Try to create a separate entrance. If we can, then they may be able to work during the day. As long as the noise is kept down, there's noise limitations with state education department. Also want to have a separate egress for the school and the construction, so there's no intermingling. And we've thought about that already in the preliminary phases now. So now we'll step up that as they're working on completing the plans, and when we're up at state education department. And we can show the school district how we plan on exiting.
This is a common occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, I
There's a
figured.
lot of strategies that will bake in. We have weekly meetings with the principal. Can we have permission to make a little noise this morning or that afternoon? But we really, our objective is to make sure the students are safe and the curriculum is delivered in a way that everybody's comfortable with.
There are temporary partitions, temporary doors. It's budgeted, and we actually have to do drawings to show exactly how the exiting and entries and everything's separated.
And do all that noise either before school, after school, weekends, holidays, and do the less noisy if we're having it during the school year.
So I just want to say, bringing this to the board and the community and having this up here and seeing the vision, it really does make a big difference. I mean, this is some fantastic work. I'm excited for our students to learn in these spaces. I'm excited for the teachers to get to teach in these spaces. And I mean, honestly, I'm just very grateful that our community supported this, because now it's hard to picture what it would be like if we didn't, right? So thank you for bringing this to us tonight. We look forward to having you back.
Thanks for letting us practice our craft. We're grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for me, we just wanted to give a brief update on the energy performance contract, because that's the other part of the puzzle that we're doing right now, trying to get some work done for our community. We started it back in March. We did some weatherization of the buildings, which entailed putting sweeps on the doors to keep the cold air and the drafts out from the winter months. We did some above ceiling, we did some caulking, we did some insulation, things like that to try to keep the building envelope warmer and those different heat issues that we have to deal with during that. We also did the track lighting, we changed the track lighting. We're still not 100% finished with that because they still have to tweak that and point the lights the right way and get them so they're not bleeding out into the community more than they need to be, even though we're allowed to run them up until 10 o'clock. We don't want to shed light out into the community where we don't have to. We want to respectful of our neighbors, we want to do the right thing. So they have the ability to tweak those and aim those. If they have to add shields onto them, they'll do that as well. So they're doing that behind the scenes now. They're going to take some photometric readings and seeing if the light bleed out into the community is. It is a cleaner, it's a whiter light. So your first impression is that these lights are bright and they're not brighter than the other lights. They're just whiter. So they just have that feel to them when you go to an LED light, but they're so far the response to everything has been pretty favorable. But we had some questions with the community because one night when they were first doing it, they left the lights on overnight and the community was like in sunlight like overnight. So that wasn't really a good thing. So we fixed that and now we're moving on to the next step of that as well. So we'll get that tweaked out. We also started the lighting inside the buildings. We've been through parts of the high school, Frank G. Lindsay, we did some of the elementary schools, and we still have the middle school. The middle school is our biggest lighting retrofit, because we're actually changing the fixtures in the old building. We're not just retrofitting with new bulbs. So those are going to be, instead of surface mounted lights, they're going to be recessed flat panel lights that are going to be over the ceiling. So that whole look and feel inside those classrooms is going to change. They did one classroom already as a test, and we went to view it and see what it's a lighter, cleaner, whiter light, so it is nicer. As opposed to the yellowy, antique orange looking lens that we had in some of the old rooms, you get this dark feel. What I noticed was a lot of teachers keep the lights off anyway. They like to teach somewhat in the, not the dark, but they keep certain lights on. But we have the way to develop different schemes in there because there's multiple switches in there. So we can turn on one part of the room, turn off another part of the room too. So they can play with that as the days go on and trying to tweak that to their liking. The other thing that we did was we put controls in on our freezers that are for our kitchen areas. And those are going to help with the energy efficiency of those units when we run down. The other thing is they have it's called the armor coating process where they clean the coils for the cooling systems that we have throughout the district. And that's supposed to extend the life of those machines. They clean them and then they coat them with this armor coat, and it's supposed to make them more efficient, that they don't gather as much dust. Or dirt or grime during the course of the year, so they become more efficient because now they're breathing better. So they're in the process of doing that now. And then one of the other measures that we haven't started yet because it involves our building management system. That's a little bit more invasive in certain areas. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming meeting with Siemens and their providers and how we're going to go about that. If we can do any of it now, or does it have to be all completed during the summer? So where we can, we've been doing what we can at nights, holidays and weekends to get progress on the project so it doesn't lay stagnant to get those things completed. So that's kind of like where we are now with the energy performance contract. And then we're over the bond, so we're pretty good there. And then we'll see what the budget brings. And then we talked about some of the things we can do with the budget. And we talked about the heat bill a little bit. I'm working on that with the policy with Amanda, and behind the scenes with Carmen shared a document with me and Amanda that we can modify and come up with some sort of policy. And then we can release that to the stakeholders, the unions and things like that, and how we're going to mitigate this and move forward. We talked about setting some money aside so we can buy some portable units or some window units and what we're going to do like that to control the heat, some of the buildings. And then as we migrate through the bond, we were also talking about doing some air conditioning projects with that. As you see, we talked about doing furnace woods, the cafeteria. We have some efforts at the middle school to take care of, so we can air condition a bunch of spaces there. Yes.
The auditorium.
Yeah, I think that's one of the spaces, but again, the people kicks in 2025 in September, and we're not doing the renovations of that until the summer of 26. So it's gonna be another full year before we get to do that. So that's where the policy kicks in. And we talk about fans and we talk about, you know, ice packs, and we talk about opening windows, we talk about different measures that we can to help abate the heat during the course of the day when those days kick up over those, with the high temperature, over 80, 82 degrees, and then into that X range of the stratosphere. So,
Yeah, we reviewed that in policy
Yeah.
committee the other day,
yeah.
so that will come May 7th, we'll bring that to everyone for the first reading.
Yeah.
And I was very detailed, so.
Yeah. I think we were kicking it back just so we can put the new.
Just talked about it. Yes, that's what we, yeah,
Those
We
are
have-
the things we
couple.
can do, you know, and I think I talked to Amanda about it, I think there's an education portion part of it that we need to do, to make sure that teachers are aware of signs to what things to look for when a kid is in stress or getting some heat, you know, issues or something like that, they're maybe get a little red in the face, or maybe talking a little gibberish, they're kind of like not, you know, whatever. So they gotta keep an eye on, you know, certain things, because if you do progress, and certain individuals are gonna heat up faster than other kids. So there's gonna be that education part of it, I think, and where to get relief, what to do. Identify areas within a building, so if we have, like at the high school, you have the cafeteria, you have the auditorium, you have the library that's air conditioned. How are we gonna use those spaces to cycle kids through and know that there is relief for these kids, and educate and let people know that. If you are having issues, maybe go to that space, hang out there for a little bit and get some relief during the course of the day. And when we talk about ice packs and things like that, to make other, like the frog togs, you know, they're wringable, fabric that you can wet, soak, and you can put that on yourself too. So maybe we have to get some of those that the nurses have, so they can bring those into the classroom too, if we have any students or anybody. And then we also have to educate parents as well on those hot days, maybe send out a blast or something, say, hey, look, the next several days are gonna be warm. Dress your kid appropriately for the warm weather and things like that. And then the PE part of it, do we do lower impact things with your PE classes, et cetera? Things of that nature.
yeah, we're not the only school, I mean, every school in New York State is dealing with this right now, and
Correct.
most of us are living in these older infrastructures. Is the grid in each of the buildings a concern if we add air conditioning units?
I think it's always gonna be a concern. We've experienced that. I remember at the beginning of the year, Francie and Lindsay, we were having, you know, a couple blackouts because we had individuals, and not fault of anybody. You see an outlet, you plug something into it, but there's some dedicated lines that weren't being used that were put in there for air conditioning units. So when we go about, when we start installing air conditioners in classes, we have to run dedicated lines, dedicated circuits that it's not gonna be online with an air conditioner or computer and the smart board, and then you plug it in, you turn on your air conditioning, your smart board goes out, and now you'll lose your teaching peripherals. So you wanna keep that at bay, right? So we have to look at those as well to make sure that all that's gonna be able to handle everything.
I think last year we were 100% of our students testing at the high school were in air conditioning, right? It was like an unbelievable feat, to be honest. I don't think we ever really had that before. And there were some issues with which rooms, and the kids were moving around a little bit, so, I mean, I understand it, I appreciate it's tough when you're dealing with an older infrastructure, but it's not just Hen HUD, right? It's like
It's everyone, and I
everyone.
mean, right now, I don't know what the cost savings is or what the plug load shed would be, but we're changing from, you know, a T8 bulb to LED bulb. So right there, we're shedding some of our load in the lighting, so they're not necessarily on the same circuit, but now our main control panels or our main electrical panels, and now, you know, they're not as working as hard because now they're having to supply electricity for everything, and we shed some of that load. So hopefully it'll balance out a little bit.
I apologize if I missed you talking about the field, the middle school field.
It's phase one.
Right, I
Phase
know.
one. Yeah, that's on. We did that in the other presentation.
That's fine. That's fine. So I am actually, so
I know
that's,
that they did it.
it's part of phase one.
Yeah,
That'll be, Jalico. They'll be the ones that'll be doing the field renovation. I'm meeting with them out there either Thursday or Friday to take a look at that section of the area, and we're gonna, because we said in the past, our, septic fields are underneath there to a certain degree. So he has to be cognizant of that, so he wants to walk the area and see what he needs to do just to be, you know, respectful of that and not cause any issues. But yes, that's part of this one. And in fields in general, I mean, so we have two other fields that are out there, our softball field and a baseball field, and with this winter, they took a real beating.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get them back together again, but it is a long process and it's going a little slower than I anticipated. So we're trying to work on those a little bit more, and I've asked my grounds guys to get on top of that. We revitalized the baseball field a little bit. We tried a little bit with the softball field, but it seems to be not responding well, so we're gonna go out there and take a second look at that and see what they can do more out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're staying on top of it as much as we can to get everything back
It's
together.
probably the thing I hear the most about from parents, because I'm always like at a game and.
It's the
everyone's always-
toughest thing, you know, even the field right out here, you know, the beginning of the spring, we had a rainy spring very early and we had a late spring in terms of the coldness, so we didn't get a lot of grass growth. Now, the last few days, it's been warm, you
Yeah.
can see it start to pop and you can see everything start to turn green. My guys were out there cutting it today. But they were cutting certain sections, they cut the whole thing, but some areas are taller than other areas, you know, it's like this. So, as that responds to the fertilizers that they're adding to that and it starts to pop with this nice weather, you're gonna see that start to kick in as well. But that'll start to resurge now, and now the weather's stabilized a little bit, and that softball field is doing pretty decent. I spoke to the coach about that. He was kind of happy where it is right
That
now.
was actually specifically, I heard about the softball field.
Yeah, so I talked to John, he's the coach out there. I saw him out last week during break. I asked him how it's doing. He said, actually, right now, this is actually really good. I'm pretty happy with it. There was one little spot behind the catcher's plate, you know, home plate. He says, otherwise, it's actually pretty good. So we'll see.
It's good to hear.
We'll see.
The modified kids have a place to play baseball.
I hope so. Between that right now, they're okay, and that coach was actually out there with my guys, and he said he was kind of happy with it, you know, he can practice out there, he was happy with it. I think the games, they wanted to do something with the Village of Buchanan, and I think we're in the process of straightening that out as well.
Great. Thank you. I know it's a lot to be on top of.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming out.
That brings us to, our board election for both. Okay, so. This is, the reason that this meeting is on. Is today, is, we have to annually vote on, as a board, the, Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES ballot, certificate and budget. So, hopefully you've all got to review this, and we just have to vote individually on each item, correct? Yep. So. We'll figure with the actual amount and what the budget is. And that's only the best. Read the paper instead of this. The people. And the names of the people. The names of the people, yes. But not this page, this is just the second page. Okay, so we are reading. We are voting to approve the BOCES tentative administrative budget for the 25-26 school year in the amount of $12,136,000. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? And then the next portion of this is part 2, is the official ballot. And I'm just going to read it. This is the ballot for election to Putnam Northern Westchester Board of Cooperative Educational Services. There's 2 vacancies on the Putnam Northern Westchester Board of Cooperative Educational Services are to be filled at the annual election to be held on April 22nd, 2025. The trustees or Board of Education of each component school district by resolution may cast 1 vote for each of 2 vacancies to be filled, provided that no more than 1 vote may be cast for any candidate. No more than 1 person residing in a particular component district may be elected to serve on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services at one time, except as provided in Education Law 1952-A. The district clerk or other officer authorized to certify that a board resolution has been adopted shall complete the attached certification. Candidates are listed in the order determined by lot with their address and school district of residence. So this made it much more complicated than it sounds. There are two vacancies. There were two vacancies and there were two candidates, Frank Schnecker and Tina Mackey. So all in favor of Frank Schnecker? Okay, that's everyone comment? And all in favor of Tina Mackey? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Now we are on our committee reports. Does anyone have any committee reports? I know we just did facilities, policy, we will have the next meeting. No policy this time, yeah.
You always stack them.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming.
Why did we get it?
Okay, and then that brings us to board comments. New business. I just wanted to mention, because we did mention it earlier, that the candidates forum for the Board of Education election will be held here next Wednesday. I believe at 7 p.m. At the Hendrick Hudson Free Library. It will be a Q&A with the board candidates run by our PTA Advocacy Committee, which we're very grateful to them for running that every year for the district. And that will be also streamed live on our YouTube streaming channel as well. And then the other one, I just want to mention, we're in this beautiful art, we're all the art here, but concert season is starting for all of our art band and orchestra and chorus. It starts in April. I think it starts kicking off next week. So anyone that, all the dates are on the calendar and hopefully everyone gets to go enjoy at least one of our concerts. I think we have everything from third grade recording concerts all the way up to 12th. Lots of music. So anyway, that's great. I love concert season. Anyone else have any other new business?
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.